Welcome to the Success Journey Show. Let's travel together through the lives of individuals on the road to success.
Hey, what's going on, travelers? It's Ricky Ventures and Marlon Madden, and we're back with you for another episode of the Success Journey Show. Marlon, what's good, bro? How you doing today?
I'm living the dream. You know, I always say that. But before we get into a little, our little rant or whatever we do at the beginning of this show, before we get our guests on, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing well. Can't complain. By the time you guys see this, it'll probably be well removed from it. But man, this summer was good. The last few summers we were like, oh, we're gonna get away, not able to get away. We get away for 3 days, here or there, go there. This summer we were able to do a lot, man. It was a blessing. We really weren't planning on doing all of that. But as the summer went on and, thank God opportunities came up, and man, it was like, let's spend time with the family. So man, we just finished being away with the family last week, which was great. First time vacationing with, my extended family, my parents, my in-law, brothers, sisters. It wasn't even the whole group. It was just a couple of us, but first time doing that in years. So yeah, dude, I'm doing well, man. Doing well. How about yourself, bro? What you up to these days, man?
Well, if when everybody here, this is going to be a different thing, but just went down to South Carolina, look at some properties that we have that we're fixing up, and just going through that, still doing that kind of it's a very different environment. Just when you look at the cost of everything, it's funny. Like you go into and you're just gonna buy wood. Mm-hmm. It's a different time right now to buy wood. You're like, man, I could have got these 15 sheets for $100 before. Right now, it's $500. Right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that the housing market is gonna come back down but they don't understand, if the building cost is still at a certain price point, how is the price gonna come back down? So everybody's saying we're going through inflation, and it's a different kind of inflation, a different kind of recession. People got to understand this is a new day and age. What they taught you in school about what recession is and all these different things is actually changed, because during recession you have all these companies that's making astronomical amount of money. People are building buildings. People are building houses. Houses are being sold. The Dow is higher than it ever did. This is all these records are being set when it comes to financial goals in different sectors. So, just helping people to understand that, still make a move, because not saying that you don't have to do your due diligence, but you still need to make a move, because don't think that this 5.5 or 6.5 or 5% interest rate is going to go back down to 2.3 or 2 because you saw your friends. You didn't jump on it when the pandemic happened, but your friends did. And you were listening to everybody then that was telling you the housing market is going to crash because of the pandemic. You found out that the pandemic actually spiked the housing market. And now you're going through this, and everybody tell you the housing market is going to crash again. And then you're going to say, I'm not buying again, and then your friends are buying, and then it's going to be next year or 2 years, and you're going to be just in the same apartment, sitting down, talking about, yeah, man, when it comes down to this, I'm going to pull the trigger and buy me a house. So I'm not saying don't do your due diligence or look at the market and what's going to happen, but don't stop living because people are telling you this is happening and this is happening and this is happening and this is happening. Do your risk assessment and pull that trigger.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you said that. I'm not even going to expound any further on it, because we'll be here for another 15 minutes just chopping that up. I was in conversations with people about that even just this weekend, just seizing the opportunity now. And but yeah, and on a lighter note, and I had to say this because I probably won't be able to say this next week, man. I was messing with my camera lighting earlier in our show. I don't know if you recognize that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on. I'm like, I had this reddish tint.
Yeah, you had this reddish. I thought you was trying to look.
Man. This man, look. I'm like, it's the tan, man. I'm like, it's the tan now.
You
I tan, man. I tanned, man. I'm
Black
like,
people, you know that black people get a tan, Rick.
yeah, I know, but I never had this red undertone a little bit now. So it's just like I don't know
Oh,
if
you're
you
liking it?
see it
Oh, you like it? You're gonna
on
start.
on the Facebook. I'm looking right now. What is it? The quality ain't the same on Facebook. But yeah, man, I was frustrated. I said, yo, what's going on with me, man? But anyways, I didn't mean to divert that far. But like we say every week, guys, man, we're so happy to be here. It's our favorite time of the week where we get to just sit down and chop it up with some phenomenal people. But before we go there, we're gonna have this break, and in the break, for those that are joining us live or see this live, our intro on Facebook or YouTube or wherever you see it on, man. Like we're exploring some new things here, man. Welcome. If you want to check out this whole episode, go over to YouTube. Go over to YouTube, or you can go to iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. I mean, the list goes on, right? Every listening platform we're on. Go check an episode out, man. We have a great time with our guests. Great time just laughing with each other, learning with each other, and growing with each other. I like that. Laughing, learning, growing. There we go. Laughing, learning. I got to do another L. Laughing, learning.
Laughing, learning,
Latitude.
laughing, learning, another L, living.
Living, laughing, learning, living. That sounds like a T-shirt or one of
Yep.
those signs, right? Live, laugh, learn.
Live, laugh, learn. There you go. Hey, if I see anybody with that junk, I'm hitting you with a folding chair.
Oh man, guys, man, we love it. We love it. Go check us out on the successjourneyshow.com. Also, as you'll see in this next clip, you can check us out at the Hit Doctor, not the Hit Doctor, Hit Doctor MD,
MD.
right? Hit Doctor MD. Doing some exciting things there, selling some products. Everything is going amazing. We're learning. We're living, loving, and learning over there as well.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys, man. We'll check you guys in a few minutes. We're gonna bring in our guests out of the green room. Everyone have a good one. Peace.
One love.
Thank you for listening to the Success Journey Show. Please follow us on our social media on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at The Success Journey Show. Also, check out our website at thesuccessjourneyshow.com. Thank you for listening and enjoy the rest of the show.
All right, travelers. All right, we are here at Marlin and Mines, and we know it's your favorite segment of the show. And we're welcoming you guys back. And today we have another phenomenal guest. And man, we're lucky, Marlon, because we get to pull on not just any old kind of guests, but just awesome people that come and just share their stories on our show and sit down and talk.
Definitely.
We're definitely privileged and honored to be able to sit down with these great people. And adding to that list of great individuals, we have Kyle Hamilton. Kyle, thank you for joining us on the Success Journey Show. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks very much for having me.
Oh man, the honor is ours. So let's start off, Kyle, by allowing you to share a little bit about yourself, to introduce yourself to our listeners around the world.
For sure. Well, I'm from Canada. Grew up in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Oldest of 3 kids. Mom and dad kind of raised us up. I was thinking about how to really kind of talk about this and where I wanted to go with my little intro and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I think really helped me growing up was that strong family upbringing, and also being very fortunate. Being up here in Canada, we have French immersion programs. So right from kindergarten, my parents put me into French immersion, which meant I could read and write in French before I could in English, even though nobody else in my family really spoke French. And that kind of set me off on a bit of a trajectory through life. Became a traveler when I finished high school, spent a bunch of time in Europe, overseas, lived in New Zealand for a while, and all that kind of, all those life experiences really, I think, kind of added on to each other and led me to where I am now.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Bien, 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 bien.
Bien sûr.
Oui, 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 oui. Je parle français un petit peu. Un petit
Parfait.
peu.
On va discuter en français maintenant?
Oui, 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 oui.
We are still here. Your channel did not turn to French, guys. We're still here in English. No, I love it. I knew Marlon was waiting. Marlon was
Yeah.
like, let me flip through my memory book here real quick, man.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
get my words together. No, that's awesome. 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 We as you start talking about your journey, man, and your strong family foundation, let's talk about that a little bit. Expound on your family, because a lot of people have unique backgrounds, and for your family to have the insight to put you into, have you in that environment, the French immersion.
Yeah.
I don't know. Being a parent now, I don't know if they knew exactly what they were setting you up on, or if it was just like the thing to do, or just part of the.
So yeah, so like I can explain that a little bit more, because my dad loves to tell the story every time he gets the chance. But my dad was a dentist. He's retired now, but for a while, kind of, I guess it was probably just before I was born or just after I was born, he was actually worked with Canadian Dental Society or Canadian Dental Association, was on their board of directors for a bit. And so he was having to fly out to Ottawa, the nation's capital.
Mhm.
And he got onto an elevator and heard people speaking around him in what he knew was French. Couldn't understand a word he was saying, but just kind of went, you know what? My kids need to know the official language when they're in their nation's capital, both official languages. So that was kind of the impetus, the driver for my parents to decide to put us into French immersion.
So they had some foresight, man, and that's amazing, man. When we see things that are around us, and we're thinking about the future and where we want our kids to be, and taking advantage of things that it probably may not have been just the norm of life, but they say he saw something that was like, let me put my kids in this to let them see, to set them up for their future. And as you replied to, it's like, wow, yeah, that was an amazing opportunity to be able to do it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, like I was saying, after high school, I went traveling, and basically, I finished high school, French immersion diploma, officially bilingual, and
I added school to the nickel list. Let me know if you'd like to.
Jumped over.
What do you want to change it to?
Flew over to France.
Rick got some AI listening to us. What's going on, Rick? You got the man listening to us, Rick?
I'm like, what in the world is going on here? And it's crazy. It turned off my mic. It turned off my speakers. It wouldn't let me have any access. It was like, no, I'm going to get this point across here. I'm putting you on your schedule. Sorry about that.
No, that's totally all right.
Yeah.
You could just have a way of taking over sometimes.
Yeah.
Tell us what Saskatchewan is. Saskatchewan is like when you. I don't think
it's really hard to say, but it's really easy to draw. That's Saskatchewan. It's a nice big rectangle in the middle of the country.
I bet you ask a lot of. I guarantee you. Let me not say that, because then American people are going to be like, "Oh, are you calling us dumb?" But but there's Canadians that probably don't know what Saskatchewan is.
Maybe,
maybe, right? But Americans, they hear Saskatchewan and they're like, "What in the world is a Saskatchewan? What's this Sasquatch land? That's where they found the Sasquatch."
Pretty much.
What was there? But how Saskatchewan? Explain that to us.
So, I mean, it's funny because it's the butt of all the jokes in Canada. It's I could go off on a separate tangent, but you may have heard in the news about our capital city called Regina, and they did a branding exercise 6 months ago, or tried to rebrand a tourism slogan of a city that rhymes with fun. And anyways, I saw it in a bunch of, like, it was on the BBC, it was in the New York Times. I saw it in a bunch of places, but I also like to joke that it's a great place to be from. I don't want to live there anymore. My family all does, but still. But it's Saskatoon, the city that I grew up in. At the time, was about 250,000 people. Biggest city around. I mean, the whole province is only 1 million people, and it's I think it's about the same size as Montana. To kind of give some context for your American listeners. So everybody knew everybody. I mean, they're not literally, but it's very much, even in a city of 200,000 people, everybody, or a couple degrees of separation.
Correct.
So
Correct.
it was really, I enjoyed it. I know some people don't necessarily, but I really enjoyed being able to, feeling safe walking down the street and knowing, I could go to a party in high school and know people there that weren't necessarily at my school, or whatnot. In fact, pretty much all of my friends through high school lived on the other side of the city. It was a 20-minute drive, which, in some contexts is huge, and others it's like, oh, that's hardly like that far away at all.
Yeah. So now you live in BC?
Now I live in BC. I live in a ski resort town called Fernie. Moved out here almost 20 years ago now. It's
California.
It's better than California. It's better than California. The only thing that California might have on us here is the beach, the oceans. But I mean, we've got tons of lakes around. There's tons of beaches.
Yeah. Oh man. So you said that when you left, when you finished high school, you did a lot of traveling. You were a traveler. Tell me what kind of, brought that on? Was it something that you really thought about doing while you were in high school? Like, man, I don't think I want to go straight away to school. I want to go travel the world, see a little bit outside of this town.
Totally. Yeah. So again, part of this French immersion thing was our city school system had a 3-week exchange to France, to Tours in France. And so I was able to get accepted into the exchange program, and I went over to Tours for 3 weeks. And actually, that's where I met all of these friends that lived on the other side of the city. They were all went to a different school on the other side of town, and we kind of became like best friends. There was a group of five of us guys, and this was in grade 11, and when we got back, we all kind of said, you know what, when we finish high school, we've all got to go back and see more of France. And then the way that life happens, I was only 17 when I graduated. One of the other guys was too, so we couldn't really leave the country on our own at 17. So we all did a year university, and then 3 of us flew over to France. And my one buddy, he worked for a Domino's Pizza in Saskatoon, and his boss owned a couple different franchises, and was like, hey, if you guys want to France and you want a job with Domino's, I've got connections. Look at a map. Here's where the different Domino's are. So we looked, and there was a franchise in Nice, France. So right down Mediterranean, Côte d'Azur. We were like, that's where we're going to go. Again, being 18 years old, topless beaches, we thought we were gone to heaven. But so we ended up flying over, ended up spending 5 months there. My buddy didn't get a job with Domino's. He showed up first day. They're like, yeah, come back next week. And when he went back the following week, there was a sign on the door saying, sorry, we're closed. We're out of business. The business is shut down.
Wow.
So we were all a bit like, okay, well, what are we going to do for jobs and everything? Yeah. And I think this is probably where, like, part of my life's journey, if you will, with success was, I was walking up and down the beach trying to get jobs as a waiter in retail, working
especially
with
at
tourists.
The beach.
Yeah, especially at the beach, handing out resumes left, right, and center, and like just kept getting no's. And then one day, basically had one resume left, and was walking back towards the apartment that we were renting, and there was just a little restaurant on the side of the road, like a block off the beach, and walked in. I was like, well, what's one more no? Walked in, handed the guy the resume, and he kind of looked at it and said, "Can you come back at 5 o'clock? My dad will be in. He owns the restaurant. I'm the manager." So I was like, "Yeah, sure, cool." So came back, and I had an interview with them. Everything's going really well. They're like, when can you start? And I was like, whenever, tomorrow, if you really want me to. They're like, okay, well, how about you come back in on Monday? And I think this was like a Thursday sort of thing. got a job for you. Totally. I was like thinking, oh, I've made it. I'm going to have this job as a waiter, being able to use my bilingualism, talking to tourists and everything. And like, yeah, I was like, okay, well, like, what am I going to start, like, bussing tables, being a waiter right away? They're like, no, you're going to be in the kitchen cooking. And I was like, whoa,
Oh, wow.
okay, well, I can do that, but I just need you to know,
I prefer.
I literally had to call my younger sister, when I got here to say, how do you boil an egg? Because it sounds funny when I say it, but I was having a bit of a brain fart. Do you put the egg in cold, or do you put it once the water's boiling? Anyways, I was not very experienced in the kitchen. And well, like zero experience in the kitchen, really. But the owner's response was just kind of like, yeah, that's cool. You've shown enough gumption, enough motivation to fly across the world, look for a job in a language that isn't your mother tongue.
Yeah.
If we can't teach you what we need to teach you, we'll just fire you. But if we can train you up, and we're happy to train you, then away you go. And so I was like, okay, let's do this. And yeah, I worked in the restaurant in the kitchen all summer. Ended up making enough money that my dad likes to joke that I'm the only child he's ever heard of amongst all of his friends who kid went away to Europe for a summer, sent money home because he made too much money and didn't spend it. So yeah, I made enough money to send a couple $1,000 home, and then traveled around Europe for the next 4 months after that summer season, on the rest of the cash that I made.
Wow. Now let me ask you. I know, just like how you have over here, you have down south. I know I used to live in Montreal, so Quebecois, the French that we have over there is not liked by France. So
No.
I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know if in Saskatchewan, when you're learning French, you're learning,
Yeah, so like growing up, it was really interesting and very fortunate in a lot of regards, that it was kind of like one year we would have a Quebecois speaking teacher, and then the next we'd have a French trained teacher. So like we learned both kind of Frenches, and it was actually one of the stories from when I was working in the kitchen. One of the waiters came back. He's like, Kyle, I need your help. I can't understand what these people are saying. And I'm thinking like they're speaking to him in English, or maybe they've got an English accent and he's just struggling. And I was like, oh, well, where are they from? And he says, Quebec. They're just making a bunch of noise. They're not even speaking any language.
Mais oui.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So man, you went on your 4 months traveling around Europe. Was there, hey, I'm gonna keep traveling till my money's done, and then figure
Pretty
out
much.
Okay.
Yeah, I basically, I think, I can't remember how much money I'd managed to save up. I'm going to say like $5,000.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to try and just travel until the money runs out. Wanted to make it till Christmas. I wanted to be home for Christmas.
By Christmas.
And so that was kind of my goal, is just stay away until Christmas. And then, I managed to.
Yeah. So coming back now, right? You've been gone for what, over 6 months, like some 7 months.
I was gone 8.5 months.
8.5 months, yeah.
Yeah.
And coming back, what was your coming back, stepping on your soil, coming out the airport, walking back into your hometown? Like, what was kind of the first thing that you thought, other than the relief of saying, "Oh, I see my family," it was great to see.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like more mindset. Now that your eyes have been opened a little bit after doing all the traveling in Europe.
So getting back, and I mean, I'm going to date myself, but this was almost 25 years ago now. So the memory is a little bit fuzzy.
Yeah.
But it definitely was surreal, I think, is probably the best way of putting it. Just like coming back home and realizing how much that I had changed, but looking around and seeing that really nothing around me had changed. And there's a lot of talk when you travel about like the reverse culture shock when you get home, and it's kind of this experience of, I've been away, I've changed so much, and you come back and it can be a little frustrating, to be blunt and honest. Like, all your friends are still going to the same bars Friday nights or doing the same thing Tuesdays, and you're like, no, like there's so much more, like let's go do something new, but it doesn't happen. And so you just slowly have to reintegrate yourself. And I kind of got around that by booking another trip, and
leaving.
I was gone for another 6 months, about 12 months later, 18 months later. So
where did you go that time?
So the next time I went to Sweden, and I did a university exchange to northern Sweden, and spent 6 months studying there. Yeah. We were about, I think the city's 300 kilometers south of the Arctic Circle. So it's way up there.
Yeah, that's an experience right there. I know
it definitely was.
What was your experience like in Sweden versus Europe? Same French, right? They have a French, but what was it like in Sweden compared to Saskatchewan, France?
So, like Sweden and Saskatchewan were very similar as far as kind of climate, geography. So from that perspective, it was very similar. People, fairly similar personalities. I don't know. I think there's something about living up north, where in Canada or the Nordic countries, there's just kind of this personality that you just need to kind of get on with it because you need to get things done. Work ethic, I guess, might be where I'm driving at. It was definitely a little bit tougher in Sweden because I didn't know Swedish, so there was more of a language barrier. But having learned French, my brain quickly picked up the verb structure and some words.
I thought
you think it's Switzerland?
Switzerland.
Yeah, he's thinking Switzerland. I was like, man, Sweden.
Switzerland.
Sweden.
Sorry.
Yeah. Never been there.
On geography. Yeah. I'm thinking Switzerland. Yeah, Switzerland speak French. Okay. Sweden. Okay. All right.
So
I'm back.
So yeah, it was quite interesting, and it was, what was actually really interesting about Sweden is a lot of the European students were coming up to Sweden to learn English, because Sweden's really got a strong English language culture as well. Like all of their TV is American TV with subtitles. So basically what I figured out is anybody who is over 45 who said they couldn't speak English could still totally understand you if you spoke to them in English. They just might not be able to reply in a conversational manner, but they knew exactly what you were saying. And then everybody under 45, like they were fluent. You could talk with them, no problem. So it was cool in that regard.
Yeah. So man, so you go back out 18 months later for another 6 months. Like, where I know you have people back at home. Like, what is he doing? What is he doing? Like, I get that. You go to another vacation, another travel in the world. Where's all this adding up? Where is it taking him? Do you have anyone in your ear like, all right, Kyle, let's kind of figure out what you want to do with life,
A little bit. There was a little bit of that, and that's kind of a perfect segue into finished university. And then I went away again to New Zealand, spent a year in New Zealand, and I came back to Canada. Actually, just I hadn't finished university yet. I went away to New Zealand for a year after I'd finished my first degree. So I've got 2 degrees right now. Finished the first one, went away for a year, planned it so that I couldn't go back to work or go back to school that September. Came out here to Fernie, where I am now, and spent a winter out here working as a ski bum. And I don't know how familiar you are with skiing and kind of ski culture, but Island Lake Lodge is a cat skiing operation that, as a kid, I grew up with posters of Scott Schmidt and other famous skiers skiing at Island Lake Lodge. And same sort of thing as when I was in France, handed out a bunch of resumes. Everybody's saying no, walk in there and was like, what's one more no? Here's a resume.
Yeah.
let's go for it. And about 2 weeks later, they called me and said, hey, are you in town still? We'd love to bring you in for an interview. And I got a job up there, cleaning toilets. I was a housekeeper for a winter. Unfortunately, that winter it actually rained almost as much as it snowed, and they had to shut down operations because there was
no snow.
Well, there was snow, but it was ice. And
so that ice,
which is not what people are paying top dollar to come and ski. So I went back, finished my second degree, and was actually going to head over to London, England to do a law degree, and called up my boss at Island Lake and said, hey, I'm looking for a job for the summer before I go away to school again. Any chance you got something for like 8-10 weeks? And she's like, when can you be here? If you've got your first aid ticket, which I did, industrial first aid ticket, they needed somebody to actually live up there as an overnight caretaker and on-site person for safety reasons, because it's remote and they're more than 30 minutes away from a hospital via ambulance. So they needed somebody on site with a first aid ticket to be there for guests and security purposes. And I was like, yeah, sure. So they paid for me to sleep up there. And again, making money and earning money without having to really work.
Expenses.
The minimal expenses, keeping that overhead down. And worked up there for about 3 weeks, and then my parents came out to visit me, and we went for this hike. And they've got this gorgeous big deck with a restaurant attached, and it was early season, so there's nobody out around, and this deck looks out over the lake, and the Lizard Range head wall is all just right there. And I had just kind of told my parents before they come out that I wasn't going to go to law school next year, that I was going to stay in Fernie for a bit. And so we do this hike, and my mom gets up, goes to the bathroom or something, and I kind of push my chair back, put my feet up on the table because we're the only ones there, my dad and I. I was like, so Dad, what do you think of the view from my office? And he kind of looked at me. He's like, well, I might not have made the same choice myself, but I get it.
Yeah.
There's I mean, that 8 weeks has been 18 and a half years now. Never made it off to law school. I'm just kind of kept with the housekeeping job, got a job bartending and washing dishes at another restaurant, and just kind of slowly over the last 18 years let my career evolve into worked my way up to managing a couple hotel properties. I started a photography business, and I thought I was going to be a professional ski photographer and get in all the ski magazines, and quickly realized A, how competitive that is, and B, that as much as I love doing that, I also really, really love shooting portraits and shooting weddings. And so I built up a successful wedding photo studio did that for about 10 years. And now I've just transitioned and kind of taking all that knowledge that I learned about how to promote myself and my small business into birr agency, and working with a lot of other small business owners as a marketing consultant, and building up this agency to support them, and also leveraging all my experience in hospitality to really also try and hone in and niche down to working with independently owned hotels and resorts to help them with their digital marketing.
Wow.
So,
Man.
Yeah. That's a great. Your story is great because, not only do you have experiences from all these different places, but it just shows the kind of person you are. And once you came back home, you're kind of like, I don't want to settle. I can come back in here and get back in the norm. Go down to the same bar every Friday night or Thursday night till Sunday. Pick up a little job or do whatever, or finish college and stay in this town. But you know what? Let me venture out. And by venturing out, you set your own path, and then you say, okay, this is where I want to settle, and then you find what it is that your purpose is, which is you come back to birr, right? Birr. And what does birr stands for?
Birr, the definition of birr is with emphasis or vigor. Sorry, with force and vigor or emphasis in speech.
Okay.
So
Yes.
thought it was kind of a fitting name for a marketing agency.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So
I
tell us
love
about
it.
the agency and how
Yeah, what you're gonna say.
you get in clients. What's your approach to help them in their marketing? Because marketing is something Ricky and I have learned that marketing, we knew it, but we're really seeing from experience, firsthand experience, that marketing is an engine that really drives your business. And so when a company comes in, when a company comes in and sits down and do a consulting with you, what kind of information are you trying to gather from that business, and what kind of information are you giving the business in order to make them more marketable?
Yeah, I'm not sure I fully caught that. You kind of froze for a minute there.
Okay.
But like, I mean, when we work with a client, I won't say my internet is unstable. Hopefully, you guys are still hearing me.
Yeah,
We're hearing you. You're freezing
okay.
a little bit, but we're hearing you.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, like when we work with clients, we always start with building a strategy and really thinking about what the holistic marketing is going to be, because a lot of people, if they're not very familiar with marketing, you know, they hear social media and they think that's I'm posting every day on Facebook. Why aren't I getting a ton of business? And it's like, well, you know, on your website for SEO, what are you doing for paid ads? What content are you actually posting to your social media? And you know, who's your audience? Who are your target customers? How are you going to communicate to them? What sort of stuff what words are you using? What's your brand? You know, all of this, all of the marketing. You can't think of it in isolation. You need to think of it holistically. Like, what's the point of posting every day to Facebook? Is it to get people to call you? Is it to push people to your website, an online store? You know, so what our real focus is on with clients is sitting down, spending the first month or two, figuring out this strategy, figuring out these branding elements, figuring out what activity is going to make the most sense based on who their target audience is, and then really working with them to start refining that messaging and getting that out to market. So yeah.
Listen,
I think that answered the question.
You know what
Yes.
you said is so key. And one thing that I want to kind of sit on is you said, hey, we do it for a few months.
Oh, man, I'll think of the same thing with you, Rick.
It's like you go through it for a few months to really figure this thing out. Like the amount of people that we work with, right? They want things instantaneously, right? They come in, sit down for 5 minutes. All right, here's your marketing plan. Oh, I already have my plan. I know what I'm doing. Or, you know, you sit down for a couple of minutes and they don't have something that you feel that, you know, you give them a little couple of things like, oh, I'm good. Let's go. I'm going to run with it. Like, no, we're not ready yet, right? How do you talk to those people that may be a little impatient on their journey especially when it comes to the marketing side, to make sure they really get it right?
Yeah, you know, we really try and emphasize, like, it's a process. You're not gonna go viral, because that's what everybody wants, is this viral instant success, unless you put the time into honing your message, honing the content that you're creating, and making sure you've got the budget to spend to get it seen, to get things posted and out there. So I mean, we're working with like small hotels, independent hotels. We really try and communicate. It's, you know, your marketing, your digital presence, your website. Think of it like your digital real estate, like you think about your hotel building, like the infrastructure around that is, you know, you don't just go and open up your doors and have a hotel that works and operates on day one. you need to build the hotel first, and you need a plan for that hotel. What's it going to look like? How many rooms is it? All that sort of stuff. And then you need to maintain it on a daily basis or weekly basis, cleaning, checking the plumbing, all those things. And all of that kind of real world thought process applies 100% into your digital marketing, your strategy, your website, social media, all of those different things. So, to help people understand, really trying to find an analogy of real something that's real and tangible for them, that they can go, okay, I get that.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you said that, man, because it's something that like Marlon said, but you don't know, right? You hear marketing, but you don't really understand the impact of it. Because a lot of people, and let's talk about this, a lot of people don't know how critical marketing is, right? They hear the word marketing, and like you say, social media or Facebook, Instagram, whatever. But let's not even talk about those people. Let's talk about the people that are like, marketing, I'm just going to go outside and flip a sign, stand on a corner, or, why do I got to pay to put it on this web thing? Like, why do I got to spend money on this web thing in order to get my product out there, or whatever it is I'm advertising? Like, how do you socialize just the concept of marketing to people that just have no idea what this is?
Yeah, it's kind of it's a tricky one to answer straight away, because it is such a complex thing. Like, if you don't get it, it's tough to explain so that you do get it. To one of the things you just said there, Ricky, about like, why do I have to spend this money on this? And say, well, this is the money you're spending so that people come into your business. Fernie, we're a ski town. We get a ton of snow. People will be like, man, you guys charge a lot to do that. Like my niece or my nephew can do that sort of stuff. It's like, yeah, you're right, they could. How much do you pay the snow shovelers to clear your walk after a snowfall? And then they kind of go, oh. And we're like, and that is literally just money out the door that you're never going to see again. Right. This money, we're going to work on figuring out how we're going to measure your ROI. What's your return on investment going to look like? And we want you to give us $10 so that we can make you $100, sort of thing. And generally, once people start thinking about it in terms of ROI, they kind of go, okay, I'm starting to understand a little bit more. But yeah, for someone who's not fully into the marketing mentality, it can seem like I'm spending a lot of money for what?
Correct. And that's what we get that's what we hear a lot when we tell, to run all these ads, to do this, to do that. Even if you're giving money, because you might have an influencer, you want to fast track it a little bit. You might have an influencer who's in the ski business, who you want to pay to say, hey, when I'm in British Columbia and I'm here, this is the hotel I go to.
Yeah.
Right. And that person is gonna, because they have, let's say 500K followers, let's say even 10% of that actually takes it at it. So they don't, why am I paying this person just to get on their thing and say that? Why do I have to pay for this? Why do I have to pay for that? Why do I have to pay for this? And they don't understand that what you're talking about with that ROI, you want to say for every dollar you spend, this is how much output you get.
Yeah.
But when they're sitting down at that consultant, in that consultant segment, they can't. All they're hearing is $3,000 just for you to post Instagram and think videos. No, this guy's trying to get me.
Yeah.
But they don't understand. It's hard for them to understand that concept just because they don't understand how powerful marketing is. Now, what made you get specifically into marketing though with birr?
Yeah, so we started the company about 5 years ago, and at the time I had a business partner who actually just happened to live just around the corner from me at the time. And he was working out of his basement, and I had my photo studio because I was still running my photography business, and he just kind of said, "Hey, any chance like I can rent a space to put a desk so that I'm not in my basement with my kids running around while they're off school this summer, and just I need to get out of the house and find somewhere else to work." And so I was like, "Yeah, for sure, we'll figure something out." And kind of over the course of that summer, the next 5 6 months, just overhearing each other's phone conversations and what he was doing, what I was doing, we realized we had some complementary skill sets, and recognized, looking around the Kootenays, which is the region that of British Columbia that we're in, there weren't really any marketing agencies that looked at, well, there weren't really any marketing agencies that were full service. They could do everything. And, you'd go to one person to build your website, then you talk to somebody else who's going to do your social media, then you go to a print company who's going to do pamphlets and flyers for you, and, but none of those people ever spoke. So we built this company around the idea of like, let's build a full service company that, we can manage everything for you, and we can make sure that your marketing message is on brand across all of your channels, all your potential touch points with your customers or clients. And it just kind of it grew from there. I mean, we set ourselves a goal. There's kind of three major potential clients, let's call them, that we identified, like, at the end of year one, let's try and be doing work with one of these clients. And within, I think, 5 months, we were working with all three. So it was just like, yeah, things got going. They were busy. We had to hire some people. It was all good. And then the pandemic hit, and that kind of sidetracked everything. One of our key employees was from Western Australia. She, end of February 2020, she flew home because it was a friend's wedding. It was his birthday, parents' anniversary. A whole bunch of things were all happening within kind of a 5 6 week span of each other. So she was going home, going to try working remotely while she was away for us. Little did we know working remotely was going to become a thing. And she actually ended up getting stuck in Australia. She was not able to get back to Canada for 2.5 years. Just with flights and lockdowns and everything. So yeah, that kind of forced us a little bit to rethink our business model and how we were going to operate. And here we are now, and everybody came back. Everybody was working in the office. It lasted for about 2 months, I think, before we kind of went, you know what?
Why are we doing this?
Why exactly? Why are we doing this? And all the staff kind of dispersed. They're all traveling, working remotely still. I've just shut down the office to conserve overhead, cut down my overhead, and working from a home office now. And as our business grows and as we start taking on more clients from around the world, eventually having this remote team that loves to travel, why not? I mean, why not focus on hotels for that reason? Gives us an excuse to travel then, and a place to stay.
And do you still do the one-stop shop concept, or
we do to a certain extent, yeah, depending on the client. And actually, pretty much most of our clients use us for a lot or all of their marketing. But we are definitely getting out of print, not doing nearly as much print-based stuff for clients, and really focusing on the digital strategy and web type stuff.
Okay. Yeah. That's a lot of people didn't that. Now, with your experience of traveling and how you're able to adapt to different environments, that probably also helped when it came to the pandemic and just figuring out how to maneuver through that time to fit whatever client you had, being that, you had a client go to Australia, and as we know, Canada you guys kept your borders closed a lot longer than everybody else, and a lot more stringent and a lot more everything.
Yep.
So just working through that kind of environment, I'm thinking I don't know if I'm jumping the gun. What I want you to answer is, did all those other moves around the world and all the different places you have lived, and that one more resume that you just had to, hey, all they could say is no kind of concept, did that help you to say, okay, I could get through this pandemic?
I think they definitely played into that kind of resiliency, and then just that past experience of knowing that this too shall pass, and whatever's happening, it's not permanent. Things constantly change, and so you just kind of got to roll with the punches, to be a little cliched, but just keep slogging, and things are going to work out.
I like that you said that, right? Because a lot of people, we get caught up in the moment and get overwhelmed by the moment. And I don't know if I said this on a show before, Travelers, right? Just that same phrase of just being overwhelmed in the moment. But you said something very key, is like, this is going to pass. This too shall pass, right?
Yeah.
And nothing is constant. Having that mindset is, we talk about mental health these days, and a lot of people dealing different ways of dealing with different problems in their lives and stressing about different things and all those things of the nature. And talk to them about just that phrase alone and kind of where that sat with you in your life, right? To really have you realize, this is not the end. This is just a moment. Like, I can get through this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where I first heard that phrase, but it's certainly become a bit of a mantra, especially when times are tough. As an entrepreneur, any of your listeners who are entrepreneurs, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, you think it's all fun, rainbows and lollipops and unicorns when you're going to go out, set up your own business, and things are going to be great. Things are awesome, be your own boss. But man, I don't think I've ever worked harder than when I was the boss of my own business. So knowing that there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows, and don't get too excited when they're high, and try not to get too down when they're low. It's just, through the pandemic, you mentioned mental health, and it definitely impacted me. Like there was a lot of issues going around, and social media stuff, whatnot, but just getting into building some routines, being mindful. I learned how to meditate during COVID. That was kind of my lockdown or my pandemic project, was really diving into meditation and mindfulness practice. And I can totally catch myself now, if I'm getting a little bit worked up about something, just stop, do a couple deep breaths, be mindful, think about where I'm at, what I'm feeling, what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing, and just be. It sounds a little bit woo, but at the same time, it works.
Yeah,
It does.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, I'm hearing a lot of people have said that too, in terms of COVID allowing them to hit that pause button and really try to learn how to reflect, meditate, worship, pray, all these different things, because it was for a moment in all of our lives where everything around us stopped and we could start hearing all the voices in our head, right? Things that we would disregard due to the busyness of life or just being active and things of that nature, and just running, that you don't really hear a lot of the inner thoughts or your inner self, right? Because some people don't want to, right?
Yeah.
and other people, running away from it, and other people just don't have time for it. And so just hearing you say, just understanding and learning how to meditate, centering yourself, and I know we've gone so far in this interview, but I just really, there's something about that I really just want you to kind of really talk to the listeners on, and how that really helps ground you as an individual, and how do you think it helps you to today to be able to push you further in life?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that, like, part of what this whole process and all this life experiences has really taught me is, like, this is called the Success Journey Show. Life is a journey. Everybody's got the same destination, 6 feet under, and let's not race to get to that final destination. Let's slow down and enjoy every moment. And the other really important aspect too is it's helped me reframe how I see success and what success is to me. It's, at the end of the day, dollars in a bank account are just that, but it's the moments that I spend with my daughter, that I spend with my wife, that I take off work Friday afternoon and go for a mountain bike ride or hike up into the mountains and just be out in nature. Like, for me, that's success. The fact that I have that flexibility in my day-to-day life, I wouldn't trade that for anything right now. Sure, had I made a different choice way back when and gone off to law school, would have ended up probably working in finance, doing mergers and acquisitions, working Wall Street or somewhere else. Given my travel preponderance, probably would have been London or Tokyo or some other global financial center. And yeah, I would have been making a lot of money, but I realized back then, that the reason why I wanted to go and make all this money was so that I could afford to come to a place like Fernie for my 3 or 4 weeks of holiday I would be able to take each year. Why don't I just live here every day, and basically my life is better than your vacation? One of the ski patrollers here has actually got a sticker on the back of his helmet that says, my job is better than your vacation. And it just, that for me, that really what it comes down to is, I wanted this money, I still want money. I don't think anybody doesn't want to make some money and be financially secure, but the money side of it was a means to an end. And I've like to think that I kind of figured out how to hack that process and just make that end start today. And then my life, it becomes a journey, and I just do what I want when I want, because that's, at the end of the day, what really we're all trying to chase.
Wow.
I'm gonna tell you something. Today I was in South Carolina. Have a couple properties down there that I'm checking on. We're supposed to be selling, and they're doing work on there. My partner down there, he's 74, 75, 76, 77, something around there.
Yeah.
Drives his own car, sharp as a whip, moving around. And you have to be, he wakes up early in the morning. I got down there, he wakes up early in the morning, and you better be able to keep up with him. And he's not eating 5, 6, 7 times a day. He's eating his small breakfast. He'll go until sometimes after 1, 2 before he touches that lunch, and we keep on going. We go to look at a property that we have there that we've been we're trying to do some things with it, and the bushes is growing, right? So the city calls me and they say, hey, listen, you guys got to cut this thing, or we're going to start penalizing you because they got to have some upkeep here in the city. The guy that comes out, that's one of his long life friends that said they're going to cut it. This guy jumps out the vehicle and he's moving around and going around to all the bushes and saying what he's going to do. This guy is 72.
Yep.
And these guys are just moving. And when I got into the car, I said, Mr. Bobby, we've lost a grasp on what life is and what just being one, like you said, with nature. And he goes, and you know what? Another thing, you see, when you love your job, it's not work.
Yeah.
So these guys, as much as one guy, all he does is, not all he does, but he's a landscaper, loves his job. So when he gets the job to come to a call to come to a job and he sees a lot of bush, to me, I'm like, man, we got to get rid of this bush. To him, he's like, yes, all right, man. I want to cut this down and make this place look good. Mr. Bobby's all about building and So those things that you're talking about, when you're talking about, you could have went and got the money, but you wanted to end up where you're sitting right now in order to put your foot up and look out in the view and say, you like my office?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So instead of doing that for 2 weeks or 1 week or however you can afford, you say, I'll let this be where, and then I'll be happy here where I can enjoy. And that's where people's missing, their sights are missing. They're only looking at the money. And travelers, we're not saying that money isn't important, because in order to pay your bills, in order for you to be able to spend those times that because your wife, if you have to tell your wife tomorrow, like, I don't know if we're going to be able to be in this house anymore, right? She'll be like, hey, don't come home this Friday and take a hike or a bike ride. You better work, right? So we're not saying money isn't important, but when you're doing what you enjoy and you're looking to where your destination is, before the 6 foot under,
Yeah.
you enjoy that journey. You enjoy the ups and downs and the turns and the everything else. And a lot of people are just trying to curate that in a little vacuum and make sure that happens right away. Well, give some words to entrepreneurs. And I know they might think it's cliche, but I just want you to give some word to entrepreneurs or somebody that's stepping into the world of entrepreneurs. And I know you said it before, but can you reiterate the mindset, what they have to look for and how they should approach the journey they're about to embark on?
Yeah, I mean, no road is perfectly smooth, perfectly paved the whole way. As someone who's traveled a lot, you drive down a road, it's nice, and then boom, it's suddenly bumped. I mean, you drive across Saskatchewan, all those roads are potholed. Not like down in the States, but or Central America, but yeah, the amount of work that being an entrepreneur takes, it's not for everybody. Like you do need to know that you're getting into it, and there's going to be days, and I have them probably monthly, of why am I doing this? Why don't I just go get a job? But then something happens, you win that client, or you make that sale, or figure out this process, and suddenly you remember, oh yeah, this is why I'm doing it. This is why I'm putting up with it all, and all the pain and suffering is worth it in the end.
Yes.
Man, I love it, man. Kyle, this has been an amazing just moment just to sit down and to learn more about you and your journey. And I'm really excited to hear the answer to this question. But before I do, I want you to kind of plug, how people can get in contact with you for your services, for marketing,
You bet.
come and visit you, and the beautiful sites where
Yeah.
you are. Why don't you do that now? Then I ask you the last question.
For sure. So you can find me, me personally, I am Kyle Hamilton on pretty much all the social platforms. Birr Agency, our website is www.wearebirr.com, or We Are Birr at We Are Birr on all the platforms as well. And yeah, if you're ever coming through Fernie, feel free to reach out, hit me up, DM me, and love to meet up in real life and have a beer or a coffee, or go for a ski or a bike ride.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, and so before we let you go, is the last question I'm going to ask. I'm very interested to hear how you're going to respond to this one. If you can go back to a younger self, and I'm trying to think of the time frame based on the story you told me. Maybe your
first trip.
before the first trip, like, or right when you're heading out there. Well, right when you found out that your friend wasn't going to get the job at Domino's, right? And you had 60 seconds to pull him aside, and just knowing what you know now, what would you have shared with him then?
Oh, I know the exact answer, because we've already talked about this. Him and I, like, we're still buddies. But it's just a reminder that life's going to be good. Life is going to be what we make of it, and the the more you put into it, the more you can take out, or you get out of it rather.
Yeah.
So yeah, keep your chin up and look at the sun, smile, take a deep breath, and soldier on.
I love it.
Yes,
Love
sir.
it. Love it.
Love it.
Well, travelers, man, we come to the end of another show, and want to thank you for joining us. Remember to always visit us at thesuccessjourneyshow.com, and we are on all listening platforms, podcast platforms. So share this with a friend that just needs to be uplifted, that needs to understand that, you know, this too shall pass, and that, you know, the success is not in the destination. We all have the same destination, right? So enjoy the journey. So with that, guys, we'll see you guys again next week at the same time, the same place on the Success Journey Show. Everyone have a good one. Peace.
One love.
You've been listening to The Success Journey Show, where your dreams, drive, determination, and diligence are the foundation to success. For more information, check out thesuccessjourneyshow.com. The Journey Squad is here helping you to your destination.